G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. And yes, it's been a very, very happy week for me because finally, my prayers has been answered by the men upstairs, right? Upstairs at Rugby Australia headquarters in the Ivory Towers. They finally answered two of my prayers for 2024. Believe it or not, I know. I couldn't believe it either, right? So first thing first, right? I told you guys at the end of last year when this Rugby Championship schedule was speculated that if it comes to Australia, the first game should be in Queensland, in North Queensland, in the heat, played at lunchtime, so that the South Africans, the Springboks, will be jet-lagged, and will be jet-lagged in the heat, and we have a best chance of winning against the Springboks. I'm gonna screw the Springboks, right there in the hot, sunny day in Queensland, alright? Somebody upstairs in Australia, Rugby Australia, had the same thought, okay? They couldn't quite put it in North Queensland, but it's the next best thing. It's going to be in Brisbane. It's going to be at Suncorp Stadium. Not sure the time of the game yet, but I hope, fingers crossed, it's going to be at lunchtime, right? And most importantly, it's going to be known as the Brisbane Screwjob, where we get, hopefully, the greatest referee in the world, Paul Williams, okay? Maybe Ben O'Keefe is fine too, okay? And then we're gonna screw the Springboks with the opening match of the Rugby Championship and get an easy win, 1-0 up in the championship, okay? And that is how the Wallabies gonna start in 2024. Actually, that's not the start, but that's gonna be how they start the 2024 Rugby Championship with a win over the champions, the world champions, the Springboks, by screwing them at Suncorp Stadium with a New Zealand referee. Yes, I can see it. It's happening. So that's number one, okay? That's number one. Number two, again, 4 years. I waited 4 years for the Bledisloe Cup to come back to Sydney, and it's finally happening. Okay, it's going to be at Homebush, which is like 4 hours of traffic away, but still better than flying to Melbourne, right? Finally, I can just drive 4 hours in the traffic and go watch the Bledisloe Cup game, okay? And that's finally going to happen, which means, finally, the Bledisloe Cup is coming back home to Australia, and we're going to win it this year. I have a good feeling we're definitely going to win this, especially the second game is at Wellington, where the All Blacks don't have that good of a record. Yeah, so I can feel it. Yes, it's going to be a good rugby championship ahead of us, guys. And yeah, I hope you are as excited as I am for the greatest rugby tournament, the winners bracket of the Rugby World Cup, commencing, when is it? August. Commencing August 10th. Okay? I can't wait. So let's move on. That's the first piece of news. Moving on. Yes, there are some talks of the Bledisloe Cup being played at lunchtime. First of all, no, wrong game. The game should be played at lunchtime. It's the one against the Springboks in Brisbane. The Bledisloe Cup definitely don't have that lunchtime because the traffic going to Homebush, it's already 4 hours, okay? If you play at lunchtime, at daytime, right, it's going to be an 8-hour drive for me, and I'm not going to drive 8 hours and sit in traffic to go to Homebush, okay? That's not smart, okay? So please, make the Brisbane game lunchtime. Keep the Bledisloe Cup at night, okay? Rugby Australia, do it. You're thinking the right directions, just not quite the right match, okay? Do it. Next up. Okay, yes. So Super Rugby is introducing a bit of law variation, something that we saw. First of all, I am pretty anyway, so there's some law variation, okay? Let me just explain what's been happening in the Six Nations these days. So there's a lot of delay in the kicking game. So teams kind of do this aerial ping pong, and then both teams can just hold the ball and not kick it away whilst waiting for the opposition to slowly edge up on them, wasting a lot of time. Something that we saw do a bit. We saw a bit at the Six Nations, right? And basically the current law states there's obviously two ways of putting a player on side. One is the classical way of running in front of if you kick the ball ahead of you, as somebody runs you on side from being behind the ball kicker or the ball kicker himself. can run your players on side. That's pretty much the traditional way. But this, and I don't know when this law is a thing, because I have never heard of this before. Apparently, the opposition can put your players on side as well, and apparently, let me know if this is a Mandela effect, because I didn't know this was a thing. Literally, so apparently, if the opposition player, like the ball receiver who receives a kick, he can put the opposition team on side by running forward 5 meters or kick the ball away or pass the ball, essentially. So intentionally touch the ball, opponent kicks it or passes, or run 5 meters, right? So apparently, the opposition can put players on can put your players on side by doing these things. And so what's leading to happen is a lot of the lumbering forwards, they just wait in front of your 22-meter line, and if you move forward, they just come tackle you, right? If so it forces the receiver to kick the ball back, essentially, and you end up with this kicking duel where neither team can attack, because as soon as they run more than 5 meters, they're gonna just get mauled down by like 3 forwards just waiting right in front of them, right? And so they have to kick the ball back, which just end up with this kicking duel that nobody's going anywhere. And then essentially, Rugby Australia has decided that this is not going to be allowed for Super Rugby, which starts in 2 weeks. They're basically that once the ball has been kicked, the ball kicker or someone behind him has to run the rest of the team on side before they can make a tackle or make a charge down, doing anything. I'm pretty sure this is how it's always been. But apparently, I must have traveled through some kind of portal when I was sleeping last night, or last week, or recently. Apparently, I'm in a new universe where this is that's no longer the way. Yeah. Anyway, let me know if this has always been a thing, or if this is something they added. Because I'm pretty sure this has always been the case. When I was playing, this is what I was taught as a kid. But yeah, anyway, so we're going back to that. And this basically is going to minimize a lot of the kicking. If you kick the ball away, you have to run your team on side. And if you run your team on side, then the return kick, you will leave yourself open in the back, right? There'll be a 50-22 opportunity there. So there's a lot of intricate decision making will have to be made when it comes to the kicking game. But everybody knows the one team that benefits the most from this is the All Blacks, okay? So I'm strongly against this law change. And yes, so All Blacks will just dominate everybody once again. Thanks a lot, Super Rugby. But yes, they're going to trial this law, jokes aside, and potentially make that a permanent thing, which I thought it had been the case for anyway. Apparently, the timeline has branched off, and we're trying to get back to where it was before. And anyway, so moving on to South Africa now, there's been a investment deal that's been kind of rumored or talked about over the week. And the South African Rugby has come out and basically stated this is something they are officially considering a multi-billion, should be multi-billion, right? Multi-million dollar partnership with an American sports company called Ackley Partners. It's pretty much the same setup as the All Blacks deal with Silver Lake, the American company Silver Lake, where they basically the goal is that they're technically not selling the Springboks. They're selling the branding and essentially the revenue of the Springboks. So basically what they're gonna do is pretty much exactly what the All Blacks are gonna do. They're gonna start another entity that has the financial claims to all the revenue of the Springboks, right? So all the money from the stadiums, from the selling of the merchandise, all the branding, all the sponsorship money will go into this new entity, and this entity would then split its money to the Springboks, to the partners in South Africa, to the unions in South Africa, and a small portion of that, profit will go to the new owners, the American company, what's it called? Ackley Partners. Basically the same setup as the All Blacks. And so there's a lot of people were saying in South Africa, oh, you're selling the Springboks, So technically they're not selling the Springboks in the sense that the new owners can't just come in and start, hiring new coaches, sacking Rassie Erasmus, buying new players, have any say over the operations of the Springbok team. But they do have the financial claim on any sort of earnings and income that the Springboks has. And they also, I guess, if they own the ownership of this can be transferred to another company, so they can sell that to another company like a share, like basically like any sort of share, so any sort of shares that you will possess anyway. So it's kind of like they technically not selling, but they are selling the brand of the Springboks, but they're not actually selling the team of the Springboks. The Springboks team will be still operated exactly same as it is. In fact, they have mentioned that it's gonna be still be owned by basically it will retain existing management ownership model as an institution. South African rugby's are not transferable to private equity, so the team itself is not transferable to private equity, but the essentially the commercial rights of the Springbok brand is selling. So that's kind of like a little bit of a clarification there of what's actually been happening. That's basically what's the All Blacks doing as well. The earning part of the All Blacks brand is being sold. And one of the main reasons is exactly the same kind of like reasoning for selling the team as well, for selling the brand, I guess, not selling the team, is that they want the expertise, network, and resource of the partnership that's joining into the team, you know. I guess if your management is failing, you will want someone else coming and take over the management, right? I mean, with management that's successfully managed the 49ers and the Leeds United football clubs, I mean, whoa, when was the last time the 49ers won the Super Bowl, right? I don't know. Yeah, the successful management of the 49ers, but I think that's just a bit of a cop out. The real reason is for the immediate, as it said, is immediate financial gains and guaranteed income. Essentially, they're gonna just basically say, we're gonna own a percentage of this. Here's $200 million for 3%, 5% ownership. I think the All Blacks was like 200 million or 300 million for about 5-6% or something. Some weird number, like 6.25% or something. So it's gonna be like a 5% for like $200 million or something. That's the money they're looking for. The expertise of it's just probably just a cop out to make the deal sound a bit sweeter. But I highly doubt any sort of expertise would really benefit the Springboks that much from this private equity firm. So this will be proposed at a annual general meeting on 30th of May on 2024. So it's not confirmed yet. They are going to propose it to the union members. The 40 members all have to approve it. There's only one currently approved, so they're still trying to convince the 13 other members to confirm this deal to go ahead. Now, next up, we have a bit of a news looking at the big guy himself. Evan Nesbitt has gone through a bit of a knee operation, so he's going to be taking some time away from rugby, and hopefully it's going to be okay to come back and play for the test matches. But who knows? Knee operations are always kind of like a big deal for everybody. Now, as we reported last week, Kurtley Beale was being in court in and out. This actually been going on for a while now. The decision actually has been made basically as soon as I released the video last week that Kurtley Beale has been cleared of wrongdoing. Basically, the story of the accuser changes all the time. In fact, the story doesn't even make much sense if you really think about it. I kind of talked about it was accused that Kurtley had followed the accuser, the woman, into the men's bathroom and then proceeded to put his, John Yields into her mouth, right? And that was non-consensual. And as we pointed out last week, that's pretty weird that for a woman to be in the men's bathroom in the first place. And also, one of the questions I kind of was wondering, if Kurtley was trying to do that, why didn't she just stand up? I mean, surely she can't be that short, right? She could just stand up, right? I mean, obviously, anyway, there's a lot of thing that didn't add up. But essentially what it sounded like, the woman was probably having relationship issues or something with her fiance, and then she basically tried to I think basically what happened was it sounded like that she cheated on her fiance and tried to cover it up by saying that Kurtley Beale made non-consensual advances on her essentially, and basically that's kind of like the decision that a lot of these like indiscrepancies with her stories resulted in Kurtley Beale being cleared. Kurtley Beale lost a year of his career because of this. He was sacked immediately last year by the Waratahs. So I think Kurtley Beale can sue her for like a year of his career back. Like that's just so like this woman really needs to pay out a lot of the damages he's done for Kurtley, because he's at the end of his career. He's only got like a few more years left, and he lost a completely written off a year of his career, rugby career, and in the World Cup year as well, because of this woman's essentially lies about what happened. And the Six Nations, let's move on to that. It's going to have a break this weekend, of course, right? Because, teams can't play more than 2 weeks in a row. And the results from last week came out. Scotland lost to France in the last minute try declined by Scotland, by the TMO. England edged over Wales for a pretty lackluster play, and then again Ireland 36 pummeled the Italians to 0. I was having some pretty good sleep while this game was happening, so yes, didn't really miss much there. So not this weekend, but 2 weeks time, Ireland Wales, big one. Scotland England, this is always big. This is gonna be for the Calcutta Cup at Murrayfields. This will be very exciting, and then another Monday morning 2 a.m. game where I'll probably be sleeping. France versus Italy in France as well. So this will be very tough for Italy once again. And with that being said, there are a lot of injuries that could potentially return in 2 weeks' time. So big one is Mano Tuilagi has already added into the England squad. George Martin will be potentially returning to England. Luke Cowan-Dickie, the hooker, will be available as well. Peter Romani has suffered a bit of injury before the Italian game, so he couldn't actually play in the Italian game, but he will be back for a little bit of a calf injury. Ty Furlong will be available as well. For Scotland now, big return. Blair Kinghorn, someone that I thought was probably one of the best fullbacks in the Six Nations last year. He's been really good for Scotland in the fullback position, and I think that having him on the field really brings that extra level of kicking game and extra, instead of just seeing like Finn Russell standing around, I think Blair Kinghorn's kicking game is a little bit more clinical than Finn Russell's. So yeah, that's a massive return for the Scottish team, and also another huge return for Scotland, Darcy Graham. And Darcy Graham has been reported already being in the Scotland team, and he is the best winger in Scotland, despite what everybody likes to think that Van der Merwe is the best winger, but Darcy Graham is the best winger in Scotland. He hounds, he fights the ball like a dog, and it's just incredible to see him back. Willem Nel will be also returning, and for Italy, Sebastian Negri will be returning as well. Oh, for the French, Romain Taufé-Vanoa, someone who's had a bit of infection issues. He's going to be back to be available again, but not sure if he's going to be selected ahead of Pasolo Tuilagi, who's been doing quite good for the French. Sam Costello will be returning for Wales. Had a bit of a concussion from the first test against Scotland, so he will be available as well. So yeah, so some big returns, big spice up the round 3 a little bit for the Six Nations. So as we talked about already, the Scotland versus French match, the final try, everybody was talking about it after the game. Was it a try? Was it not a try? Did the TMO basically, the on-field decision by Nick Berry was that it was no try, but it looked like there was a shot where the ball had scraped the grass, but the TMO said that was inconclusive and basically couldn't overrule the decision on the field by the referee, which was a no try, which led to France winning the game by 4 points. If that had gone through, then the French would have lost that by 1. And Fabian Galthie came out after the game stating that his thoughts on the matter. He felt that Nick Berry on-field decision, no try, was already sufficient to see that it was already sufficient. Essentially, he thinks that Nick Berry was in a good position to see what was happening. Didn't even need the TMO. The Nick Berry should have just made the decision on the field without the TMO. But yeah, this it's really tough. Like I was thinking afterwards as well. because like there was a shot where the ball kind of like scraped the grass, and then there was another shot where the ball was like over the try line, so like on the try line essentially. So they could potentially prove that the ball is on the try line the same time the ball scrapes the grass. But I still feel like there is a possibility where it was probably only just a tip the ball that scraped the grass, and it could stand, because the ball is like this shape and the line could still like miss the line just because the tip the ball touched the grass. There's still like uncertainties there, and I think one of the things, I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, I guess if they don't have conclusive evidence, I guess like gambling companies could potentially sue the Six Nations for these decisions, because they could potentially say that, show me the evidence that the try was scored, and they could potentially, say that there could be some underhanded dealings by Six Nations, and for a suit for damages, because Six Nations wouldn't be able to produce conclusive evidence to show that that the try was scored, right? So I'm guessing that's probably why they have to be really, 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 solid on the evidence. Like absolutely have to have clear screenshots of the ball touching the try line, for that to be like considered. Let me know if that's actually possible for like a gambling company to sue the Six Nations if like an unclear trial was awarded. I don't know. Maybe that's possible. But I think that's Anyway, England also was a bit of an interesting moment where, not quite Cheslin Kobe style, where George Ford was going for a penalty, not penalty, for a conversion after a try was scored. With 13 players on the field, by the way, England had 2 yellow cards, and then Ben Earl, just an absolute machine, ran in for a try, picking up the ball from the back of the scrum. George Ford, as he was taking the conversion, took a sidestep, and then the Welsh team just rushed up on him and stopped the goal attempt. And George Ford was like, "Well, I didn't really start." And apparently, the law is, as soon as you stop, and then you take any sort of movement, doesn't have to even to be towards the ball, any sort of movement, which shows that you're starting to take your kick. It's basically the opposition is allowed to go for the charge down. So George Ford taking a step to the side after he has stopped moving is a massive mistake. So a missed an opportunity to kick 2 points that were right in front of the goalpost as well. Easy shot. So the Crusaders B team once again beaten. Not once again. When was on in Europe, bit of Euro trip at the moment. Beat the Bristol Bears from England. What was it? 34 points to 14. Against the A team, apparently. Carl Sinclair and stuff was on the field. And yes, the Crusaders B team easily dispatched the Bristol Bears. And a lot of you guys were saying, "Oh, it's not the B team. It is the B team, right?" Scotty Barrett can't even be bothered to fly to these games to play a team he never even heard of, all right, and get a yellow card, right? It's not worth his time to collect a yellow card for this game. And also, this is the Crusaders B team, because the real Crusaders team don't do the haka, okay? Because the real Crusaders team actually do the haka while they play for the All Blacks. So if they do the haka during the season, they're going to be like getting tennis elbow or something from doing the haka, right? They're going to be doing haka every weekend, right? They can't do that. They got sick of doing haka. The real Crusaders team is sick of doing hakas, so they would never do the haka. So yes, as you can tell, doing the haka, big sign. Not the Crusaders A team. The All Blacks players would not be doing the haka before the game because they're, Anyway, so the Crusaders, despite having a B team, still was able to flog, I guess, the Bristol Bears. Anyway, moving on. Oh yeah, Lee Halfpenny last week had an injury to his pectoral muscle playing against the Irish team Munster. Again, he had, at least he played a game for the Crusaders, but it's probably good. Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be out for. It's going to be struggling to probably make it back for the Crusaders season. But hey, the Crusaders probably going to play into the semi-finals all the way into the final, and Halfpenny has got plenty of time to recover for that, to make it to the final. Also, last week there was some leaked document that there was some talks potentially to save the Melbourne Rebels by merging them with the Moana Pacifica. First of all, I'm pretty sure the Moana Pacifica is like owned and operated by New Zealand Rugby, but there are some talks. Apparently, they're going to merge with Moana Pacifica, and this is going to be moved to be based out of Auckland. I don't know how that's going to work. How you're going to have Melbourne Rebels operate out of Auckland, but I'm guessing they're just going to like have the Rebels like cease to exist, and then have Moana Pacifica as become like one team. Melbourne Rebels become like one team, and then just Moana Pacifica take over the players from the Rebels. I guess that could be a good score for Moana Pacifica. But then again, there's a lot of Wallabies playing for the Rebels, like Tanela Tupou, and like how's that going to work? Are they just going to be like still qualified to be playing for the Wallabies? Because technically they don't play in an Australian team anymore. I don't know. So there were some leaked documents about that, which led to a lot of different questions. But yeah, the Melbourne Rebels is not looking good at the moment. As of last week as well, all the Melbourne basically non-playing management stuff has been fired. The CEO is let go. I mean, running the team into the ground after over 10 years, it's a pretty appalling effort. And the Rebels team themselves have one last ditch. The coaching staff will continue to work till the end of the season as of now, but all the non-playing stuff is gone. So yeah, I mean, it is probably going to lead to the players in a bit of a lack of support off the field and so on. So yeah, you might have to drive to your own game. You don't get a team bus anyway. You have to drive to the stadiums yourself. Maybe have everybody what is the buddy system? Everybody driving each other to the game for the season. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, it's not looking good for the Melbourne Rebels. For the Western Force, I just want to say this is nothing like against the. The one thing I want to say is why is Donaldson being moved to the Western Force when he's potentially going to be the next Wallabies starting fullback, maybe starting fly half? Why is it the Melbourne Rebel? Why is it at the Western Force when Western Force is a team that is severely lacking in coaching and management? What's going on? Why is Australian rugby allowing this? I know Nick White's there as well. Why is Rugby Australia allowing players, prominent Wallaby players, to be shifted to a team that lacks resources to manage these players? So yeah, and the international Rob Kearney was at Western Force, and afterwards he was like, I can't believe he was just basically I didn't know that this team was this underfunded. There's compared to what he's used to in Ireland, it was just amateur hour there almost. But yeah, why is prominent Wallabies being shifted to Rebels? Anyway, we'll see what happens. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. That's all the important news for the week. And we've got a bit of a week off, I guess, on the weekend. I don't know. And the next week we're gonna have Super Rugby and Six Nations, so that's gonna be like 48 hours straight of rugby for me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Cheers.